Yes. Hola, Sava. Good evening, good morning, or good night, wherever you find yourself around the globe or around the world. This is the Catalyst African Town Hall, a bi-weekly meeting. Um, it is a bi-weekly meeting that we do discussing Cardano blockchain and Web3. And today we have a very interesting topic that we want to discuss. Our resource person is ready. But before that, let me tell you a bit about the African Town Hall. Those of you that you don't know about us, or those of you that you'll be watching us later on. So the Catalyst African Town Hall, our main purpose is to promote blockchain education and adoption in Africa and beyond. And we have been operating for the past 4 years. We have been able to onboard a lot of university students into the chain. Aside our virtual meetings too, we hold physical meetups. And in 2025 alone, we are able to host about 4 physical meetups. The first meetup was about Cardano governance. We hosted it in the northern part of Ghana. We had about 60 participants attending. Our second meeting, it was 3-in-1, where we hosted CATH Africa. I don't know those of you that heard of the CATH Africa. It's also a governance conference that we hosted, but it was hybrid, right? Hosted it in 3 African countries: Ghana, Nigeria, and Congo. And each country have about 60 to 70 participants in-house, and we had 19 speakers around the globe talking to these individuals, the blockchain enthusiasts, the Cardano ambassadors, D-Revs. Like, it was very interesting. If you visit our platform on S, our account on S, we have tagged that particular program, the link, so you can watch the full video over there. We have highlighted it for you to get to know what we did. We also have it, we have the full video on YouTube. We are proud of it because this is the first time of we organizing an hybrid event like this that saw a lot of viewership. About 1,400 people were watching us live online, and then we had most of the brilliant brains around Cardano. So we usually talk about this event with our chess app, right? We'll be having the same program again in 2026 in May 2026 in Ghana. And we're expecting about 1,000 university students. So you'll be hearing from us very soon. So yeah, basically this is African Town. This is what we have been doing always. We have hub in Nigeria, Congo, Ghana. We are trying to expand to Burkina Faso at the moment. So you also hear about that from us. And aside that, what do we do again? We also host Idea Fest, right? This year we have not announced it, but we'll be announcing it very soon. So what is the Idea Fest all about? Project Catalyst, people put in their proposals, and sometimes they don't get a chance to express what their proposal is all about, because it's one way to write a proposal and another way to discuss what your proposal is going to be, or the impact of the proposal, to give voters decision whether they should vote for you or not. And also the human touch of your proposal, right? We are not living in a vacuum, right? Let's see who is behind the proposal. So this is what the idea phase is all about. You see all the Cardano proposals, Polycatholic proposals on this platform, like pitching their proposal, just 3 minutes pitch, then question and answer, which will be about 5 to 6 minutes around that time, and massively majority of the people that propose, that comes to African Town Hall to propose, majority get funding. So I think there's a lack here, right? There's a lack here. So we'll just check the date and then announce when we'll be having the idea first. Anyway, enough of my talking about Catalyst African Town Hall. Let's let's get back to business, right? So we have here today, we have Lucas. Lucas is from the UB U45 45b.io. Yeah, so before Lucas will come, right? Before I'll give Lucas the chance to talk. I want us to like, who's Lucas? Lucas, who are you? How do you get into blockchain or Cardano? Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Okay. I was just, it was funny because we were talking with Tevo now, and he didn't understand that I was from, he didn't know that I was from Portugal. Because I am basically a bit everywhere on the calls and communities in Cardano. I joined 3.5 years ago already. It feels like a very big number by now. But so mid 2022, I was I have a career in accounting, in a business, in banking as an IT person, but I'm not a developer. So I'm mostly a consultant that understands solutions, understands problems, and tries to find to fit solutions with problems, right? Um, and so at the middle of 2022, I had given up my career in banking to look for something that's more organic, more fully remote, for example. And I found Bitcoin, I found Cardano. I decided not just to invest or be in the loop about those digital assets, but to convert my career into blockchain. And yeah, Cardano felt like the natural decision because at that time, for example, Ethereum was having a lot of hacks and rug pulls and ICOs and a lot of stuff that didn't sound nice to me. And Cardano felt like it was technically robust and it was institutionally very respectable, so that institutions can adopt it as well, nation countries and those kinds of things. So my journey since then has been to convert my skill set and to explore. I've worked in Maestro, for example, for a year and a half, um, or even more, I think, where I was a developer experience person. Maestro gives you all the data from the blockchain so that your app can read it in simple callings, simple requests for data. And so I learned a lot there. I did a bit of networking, and even since before going to Maestro to work, I was in Gimbal Labs as a learner. So after weeks of being in Gimbal Labs, they were already teaching us to install the nodes in our own machine. So I was after a while helping to write um, instruction manuals for learners to do that. So I was a bit of a learner and a facilitator in Gimbal Labs. And from there, I started doing what I called, and there's still a link tree for Cardano for non-technical people. That was the initial project in 2022 that I did as an experiment. And now it has evolved into something that we call 45B, which obviously you understand 45B stands for the maximum amount of ADA that's ever going to exist. So where Bitcoin has 21 million units, Cardano is going to trend to 45 billion units of ADA. So in a way, the 45B stands for all the ADA universe. It's our terrain, our ground, our territory. And when you own a bit of ADA, you own a bit of territory. It's the proof of stake that we want to represent, and also to give it a notion of scale. So even if you hear that someone has a voting of 2 billion, 10 billion, you need to understand the full scope is currently 36 billion of circulating ADA. That's going to trend to 45 billion. So yeah, so that's in a nutshell how I got here.
Amazing. Great. So now we have gotten to know what the 45B stands for. And that's
Yeah,
interesting, right? This is what I keep
the
saying. Until
link.
you tell a story, nobody will know what you are doing or what you mean.
Yeah. It was really funny because I registered the domain before going to Lausanne in 2022. And then after a few weeks, a couple of weeks of registering the domain, Charles Hoskinson was on stage. And he was saying, we have governance. We are our own commanders. If we want, we can change everything about Cardano, even the 45 billion number. And I was like, no, no, don't do that. I already have the, so it was really funny for me to have that notion since the beginning, that this was the way I wanted to represent myself. And yeah, it's been a journey to get to know a lot of people in different communities. I also helped one community in 2022 called Cardano Builders. They did mediation that was associated with a company that did conflict mediation. So they gave us a training on mediation resolution,
Uh-huh.
conflict mediation resolution, was really interesting. And yeah, from there on, I was also in recently for a year in the open source committee at Intersect, which was more technical and more managing the meetings and all the what they do there. But it was interesting to be inside Intersect for a full year because I was the chair of the committee. I got to be in the Intersect steering committee as well, so that gave me a lot of visibility to how things work. And yeah, now 45B has become my only project, my focus since the ending my mandate at Intersect. And yeah, so I'm kicking off two projects that I want to share with you guys.
Interesting, interesting. I think you have more stories to share with us, but what we are gonna do now is that we're gonna jump into your presentation today, right? The 45B ongoing proposals and then the human side of Web3. At this moment, Lucas, you are the captain of the house. You can share your screen if you want. You can, the meeting is now on your chair, so
Yes.
moderate it and present it was
Okay.
our humble people listen to you. And then also, just after your presentation, we'll give ourselves some chance to ask any question, clarification, suggestions, or anything at all. Okay,
Okay.
Lucas.
I'm gonna start then. Okay, so you can see my screen.
Yes.
For some reason, you can see the console from Zoom as well because I'm on Ubuntu, right?
Yeah.
Correct? I
Yes.
can't. I don't think I can collapse it, but I'll just leave it there. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here introducing a bit what we want to do in 45B. Like I was saying, we've started already 3 months ago with the first cohort of a Web3 series of workshops for non-technical learners. Um, and if we go very quickly through the website for 45B, you will recognize it's a copy of Cardano.org because it was open source. So I decided to start with this like blatant copy and then start adding our own content to it. So here you have our mission, which is education, design, and project management. In taking the Cardano blockchain technology, we want to take it to the world to help businesses. So this message is directed at our target, which is the businesses that are in Web 2 or not even very digital, but that could discover with us how Web 3 can impact their business models. So this is our main product and project currently. And we're gonna talk about it in detail further down. Then we also have a bit about, you were saying that you've organized some constitutional events, right? And we also did the Lisbon one. It was a lot of fun. It helped put our team together. And I really invite you to come to 45b.io and have a look at this video. Anselmo from our team captured everything on the day and did an amazing job editing it. And then we also got allowed to use a space to organize the Cardano Summit event in Lisbon. So that was a lot of fun as well. This was already in October 2024. Our team is basically, I am the only full-time person on the team. And then we have a number of people like Anselmo, like I was saying, does the video capturing, editing. Juliana does design. Paulo, for example, did our logo. Beatrice did a number of digital art for our t-shirts and things like those, because we want to leverage that kind of cultural confluence of messages. So eventually we may want to, we're planning to launch a store with t-shirts and Cardano wear that you can wear in your day-to-day or night out or something like that. We have Marco, who is an SPO on Cardano. He's the most native, and Roberto as well, that helped found 45B. Yeah, then we have a number more people that help with different things like in-person events, or we have a product that's going to be around tattoos. So these are just concepts that we want to develop a bit. So in a nutshell, the projects that we have running currently, adjust this a bit, are these two. So we're running Web3 onboarding use through a series of workshops. This can go up to 30 hours, 35 hours, 1.5 hour each time, twice a week. And we take people through, let's say, 3 stages. On the first stage, all you need to know is that you're going to be taught how to use Web3. So we're going to start with the test net, like pre-production. And in there, you can get a bit of free test data, do some transactions, and play around between the participants. We can mint an NFT or something like that to play with. And then we go into mainnet and we start using a number of Web3 apps. We don't focus so much on DeFi. We want to focus more on the usability of blockchain for traceability or for any other like book.io, those kinds of use cases. The second level of this series of workshops would be where we start to pop the hood and look under the hood to see what was working in those apps. So some apps have smart contracts, some apps do metadata persistence, other apps may do digital identities or a number of variations of those things. And on the third stage of the series of workshops, we really invite each learner, even if it's just a thought experiment, just to think of what they could build with Web3. And then we help them through a very simple framework of, okay, is it technically doable? Is it legal? Or is it going to be very hard to legalize this because it's handling people's money or something like that? And is it marketable? So is the audience ready to see this product and understand it easily and adopt it? So those are the 3 pillars of the third stage of our series of workshops. So yeah, we are looking for learners in Portuguese and in English. And in the long term, we also want to have cohorts for French and Spanish. So we are actually looking for learners that are French and Spanish so that maybe we can use them as facilitators and collaborate with them to run the French and Spanish cohorts. The basic URL that you can share is 45b.io/web3. And if people sign up, we will take it from there and we will be in touch. The most interesting part of this is that I'm introducing this to you here in the room, but if you already use Cardano wallets and if you already know what a smart contract is, this is not necessarily for you, but it could be for your friends. So your friend that has a shop that could take payments in Bitcoin, we also facilitate education about that. If your friend has an e-commerce or if he sells online, then we want to help him create NFTs to go with his with his products, or any kind of use case that your friends may already see as possible or that you think that your colleagues could learn about in Web3. We're here to demonstrate things to them and to make it simpler for them. Okay, so yeah, if you can share this with any friends, that would be great. And that's it for the Web3 workshops part. I'm just going to touch on this one very briefly. We've started for the Web3. We've already run 1 cohort in Portuguese. Now we're going to run 2 more, Portuguese and English. The English ones are going to be hosted in Gimba Labs. So we're doing a partnership there. And then we're going to do two more cohorts in Spanish and French. So it's a bit ambitious, but I think we'll see it through, and looking forward to it. This other one, it's really just kickstarting. It's milestone 1, which is raising awareness. That's what I'm doing here. And so, like I showed you, we have a number of people that we are also actually onboarding these people to Cardano. So Paulo, for example, he's very crypto aware, but Beatriz just has 1 wallet with 1 book that I lent to her. Nuno is also learning. Anselmo is learning, but he's already a bit experienced. And so we're planning to use these professionals and more professionals to help. So Tanya, for example, is a designer. She's learning Web3 as well. But we're planning to use them to, in a way, involve them in Web3 by practicing what they're senior at. If they're senior in design, they can come and help us do some interventions in applications that are already in Cardano. So a small game or I don't know, any kind of application that's already live or being conceptualized should sign up by just reaching out to us. We don't have a sign up form for this one yet, but we really want to raise awareness for anyone that's in this stage of ideation to sketching board of an application to come to us and have us help with that. Another example of what we can do with this proposal is to take your application that's already live or that's already built and go and interview users for it. So we try to find pilot users, and we do what's called in IT industry as user acceptance testing. So we put the front end in front of users and ask them, what do you see here? Do you understand what this is? What's the feature that you wanted to have here that you think is lacking? And we take all that input and we give it back to the project owners. We may sketch, if you have the Figmas, for example, which is the drawings of the front end, we may intervene there and rework your Figmas for your application. But the goal is not that we're going to deliver you the whole app. It's really just a small intervention. Actually, the intervention part is just a bit of the proposal, because we also are going to host a lot of spaces to discuss these topics with the global community. And we hope that from these spaces and calls, we get people that we can intervene on their apps. And we have a resources portal that for now is really just an idea, but that we're starting to iterate a bit. Ideally, this resources portal is already openly inspiring from this website called Bitcoin Design. It's an example of where you can find a bit how applications can be developed for Bitcoin, the getting started concepts of Bitcoin, and this is a bit what we want to do as a portal for Cardano. Okay, I'm going to zoom out for now, and there is one important initiative here that I wanted to mention as well, which had to do with grassroots in touch, which is networking between grassroots communities around the world that are on Cardano. But I think this is a nice point to just zoom out. I just want to touch on the link that you can use to follow us, to connect with us, to get in our Discord or anywhere. It's just links.45b.io, and that's all you need to remember to refer to your friends or someone, because it has very clearly separated the two projects that I was describing, our calendars that people can subscribe to, and then our socials and this initiative. We also have a playlist with a number of sessions that we've done, pilot sessions. And I think that's a good place to stop and open the floor for anyone to ask questions. Thank you so much.
Yes, Lucas, thank you very much for the presentation. The Web3 onboarding series of workshops, you currently asking for participation or?
Yeah, what I mentioned was that this course, I'm basically splitting it in three parts. The first part is using Cardano. The second part is understanding what's under the hood. And the third part is, what if you built your project on Cardano? What could you build? How would you do it? How much it would be sellable or to marketable to users? This is all, let's say, I want to start the training with 25 learners, and then we lose some for the second stage, and then we lose some for the third stage, probably, because not everyone wants to go all the way to building a solution or ideating a solution. But it is just one series of workshops for all for learners to be able to attend from top to bottom. Okay. What I was also
Yeah.
saying is that we have cohorts. So this journey from using, understanding, and building is going to be traveled by people. First, we already did one cohort in Portuguese. Now we're going to do two more cohorts, one in Portuguese, one in English. And then we want to do two more in French and Spanish, respectively.
Okay. Okay. That would be great. We have individuals here that are also running hubs. that have more university students. If I don't know any, I think I know one in Accra, Ghana, Accra Resource Center. They are also helping to onboard and train developers. So I think it will be good for you to collaborate with them. I'll share their details with you. I want to know
Okay.
quickly, right, before I give the chance to the community to ask, do you have you planned the starting date and time already, or is still under development?
We currently it's going to depend a bit on how many people sign up and how
Okay.
fast we can sort of fill in the list. We're also going to have a stage to validate a bit because we need people to be able to connect with their laptop. The typical session is me going back and forth on this Miro board, for example. Everything that
Uh-huh.
I was describing to you, this was the Portuguese cohort. That's why a lot of stuff is in Portuguese. But this is just for a number of sessions. We went in. We have a bit of the practical part and the theoretical part, and so I need people that are able to log in with the laptop, create a wallet, and do the hands-on part. And we also are trying to avoid people that are too much focused on crypto and on DeFi because they're going to be disappointed. We're not going to be talking about yield or dexes or, we speak a bit about stable coins and understand how they are, what they do and how they run, how smart contracts are used in stable coins. We talk a bit about DeFi, but it's not the core part. So we're hoping to get, I don't know, 30 signups, for example, that we can validate, or maybe even more, and then start with a cohort that's nice and comfortable around 20 people, for example, to make sure that we have, when we get to the end of the session, the series of workshops in each cohort. So you see here, this was the work that one learner did. This was the other learner, and another one, and another one. So all of these learners saw each other's projects and learned a bit from what they were using. So some of them were more technical, some were more like go to market, and organic promotion of your project is the key factor, because some projects in Web3, all they are doing is metadata on transactions. They don't have smart contracts, they don't have tokens, but that is still a very valid Web3 project, right? So, for example, Manuel is looking to use crypto publishing of, sorry, blockchain publishing of the balance sheet of companies using a project called Reeve by the Cardano Foundation. And so he doesn't need to be very technical to do that. He needs to understand, he's already a consultant in accounting and management for companies. And so all he needs to do is how to get the balance sheet from a company, put it in the format of Reeve, and use Reeve to publish this balance sheet of a company on chain.
Okay,
Any
amazing.
if you're in doubt if this training is applicable to you, please just go ahead and sign up, because we are going to try to validate and make sure it makes sense for everyone. I was just speaking with Bernard Sibanda, you know him.
Yes, I know
And
him.
for example, he has teaching for Haskell and a number of things. But what we are agreeing is that maybe some of his learners could benefit from coming here and doing at least the first and second stage of our series of workshops, so that they already have a lot of experience using Web3 when they get to Bernard's training on Haskell.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I know Bernard. Bernard is doing so well in South Africa. He also have a whole university student that is working with. So if I understand, your platform will be like the introductory of Bernard's
yeah.
advanced. Okay, amazing.
It's mainly, so one thing that you can see here as well
Mm-hmm.
is we've did a lot of work looking at actual projects that are already on Cardano. So this one is a Cardano Beam. It's not currently live, but it was very interesting because it allowed people to send ADA to a GPS coordinate. So you could send ADA to your friend around the globe, and it would be locked there, a bit like Pokemon, where Pokemon Go, where people need to go to a location to capture a bit of ADA that was there to be captured. We did some reverse analysis as well of book.io. This is the framework that I think I mentioned to you, where we look
Yeah.
at projects that already exist from a legal, technical, and marketable side, and we see how. So this is the yellow stickies, it's the framework, and then the purple stickies is how did book.io tackle the commercial angle for their project. So we try to understand a lot of that. That's what we do on the, let's say, the second stage. We understand the technical sides and we understand the business models. That's why we don't really have time, even in 30 hours, to go into technical training. It's really just about what can be built with Web3, what can be built with Cardano.
Yes, amazing. Please, if any of you have question for Lucas, feel free to chip in, or you can just raise your hand using the emoji, and we will bring you into the discussion. Yeah. So, Lucas, I want to ask another question, right? It's very good what you are doing is very good. And the reason why I'm saying that is that
Thank you.
we have a lot of people who don't have any technical background at all. However, they
Mm-hmm.
are interested to, join in, like to start learning these Cardano tech stacks, but they don't know where to start
Yeah,
from, right? So this your platform is a perfect place for them to come get
I hope so.
introduced to the basics. Exactly.
Yeah. One thing that we can also do, and it's a bit like that's why I call it a workshop. We want to have free format and have learners say, okay, I want to explore this, and come back to the session next week and say, I've looked at this, I have this to share with the group. And that's something that we've done. If you look up the old playlists from Cardano for non-technical people, we had learners come from one session to the next, do a small presentation of what they've been exploring. So between sessions or on the sessions, you can go to these kinds of directories, or what's the name of it, Cardano Cube, for example, and start exploring all the apps that are already on Cardano.
Hi, Tivo.
Yeah. A slightly similar question, but regarding actually there are two questions in there. Um, One is that are people able to come off like midway in ways of catching up, or is it more like okay, when we start, it's like a cohort going like 3 or 4 months, and then you need to wait for another cohort? Because yeah,
Um,
most often the time, like the passion is kind of like spontaneous thing, and like okay, oh, I
yeah,
just found out about this. Where do I go? And then it's you will have to wait 2 or 3 months.
yeah. We have if you check our Loomer calendars, for example, we have two calendars. The main one is for one-time events, and then we have some recurring calls. What we've done in the past was to have these Cardano for non-technical people calls every week, but often we start, it's not very efficient for us if you just have one person at a time coming to the call and you need to teach them to install a wallet. It's like you spend 100% of my time with just that one person. So we need to batch people into cohorts a bit. We have this calendar up, for example, and it says here, get in touch to schedule a call. But if you do that, we're going to ask you to bring 3 or 4 or 5 friends, just to justify a bit doing a first from zero session. What we've done, for example, if you look at this one, just to answer your question about what if you have people that are lagging and want to come back, want to come in the middle of the course. For the Portuguese learners, I usually don't make this available because I told them that the recording was just between the class. So the goal is not to record the whole course and publish it. But what we did was we were running the sessions from September, you can see here. And then after 5 sessions, I did a recap session with just some learners that were behind to try to bring them up to speed with the rest of the class. And then we had some guests here. And then I did another recap at session 12 for the same reason, because some people were very intermittent. I tried to maintain these resources so that it's asynchronous friendly for them, but because it is hands-on discussions, it's important that they can come to the calls. So, and then we had 2 more guest sessions, and we finished the course. And we also have the very last one. We also had Eric Romero and Taina from Edit Labs talk about Midnight, and they came over. So we're learning a lot from this format. And I think some of these sessions, if they were in English, it would be more shareable to put in playlists on YouTube. Just in Portuguese, I'm not sure how to manage it, but probably we're going to learn for the next cohorts, and we're going to do some clipping, you know, to put some of these core concepts onto YouTube for asynchronous consumption.
Okay. And the second question is a bit of like, what is the, do you get the takeaway from each session? So whenever, whatever situation they jump into, they always learn a specific thing, or is it more like a same underlying thing, but just different stories to kind of
No,
justify?
we really tried. That's why we can almost let the learners direct. So if the learner is if the learners, some of them in the class are asking to talk about stable coins or asking to talk about NFTs or something like that, we can let them prioritize things a bit as well. And for every session, we have a bit of news that have been happening, other resources that they can explore asynchronously, and the main part would be what we're doing in practice and in theory. So we show them some concepts and we go and explain and play with those concepts. This was another session you see there. We talk a bit about the new concepts and then we play with the concepts. So I'm sorry this one is in Portuguese, but it's what we've done, you know. So usually I come with some material, but then it's a matter of picking up. For example, we have a basket of loose endings. If there are some concepts, this one now the basket is further down here. But you're familiar with Miro more than me, right? So this is like inbox of topics that you want to discuss, and learners can drop things in here between sessions so that we can prepare. So yeah, there's usually a plan.
I actually have one more question regarding, you mentioned a lot of Spanish here. Is it hard to find like Spanish stories or businesses that use, or most of, because even in the examples you had like English companies and Bukayo and like,
Well,
and it's just like general, not related to workshops, but is it hard to find like examples of
I think
everything?
for Portuguese, for example, it wasn't very hard. And because I am here, you know, I've networked a lot in Lisbon, and I know some builders. I've organized the Cardano Summit event in Lisbon. But so as you can see there, we were able to get all these guests come over. They all speak Portuguese. So Dimitri is based in Lisbon. Nuno Luz is from the Portuguese Blockchain Association. He's one of the biggest lawyers in Portugal, articulating with the Portuguese government. This is the team that's Portuguese as well. They're doing OpenJED, and it was really interesting to come in to have them come over and talk with us. So I imagine, because I also have that other initiative, the Grassroots in Touch that I was mentioning here. It all articulates a bit. So from the Grassroots in Touch, we articulate with Ada Solar from Spain, from a Spanish-speaking side of Cardano. We can bring people from, I don't know, a number of sides to speak different languages. And I think that's a bit, there's a lot of value there in speaking native languages. And then maybe, for example, the Portuguese guests, I'm probably going to invite them over for the English session. And so we can translate a bit, and you can see the same person presenting something in Portuguese and in English on a different cohort. Thank you for your questions, Steve.
Danny, there are some questions in the chats. I don't know whether he can speak to them.
Yes, yeah. Thank you very much, Madam Ifya, for the update. I think, Lucas, you have some questions, right? One is from Mary. Mary is saying, right, what kind of project are you looking for from non-tech business owners?
Well, the thing is, one thing that we look at in the beginning of the sessions, and Bernard Sibanda was telling me this just now. People want to know what's bringing them in and what are the outcomes of attending the session. The main outcomes that they can look for is be more literate. So have a driver's license of Web3. That is the main motivator to at least attend the first part of the session of the series of workshops. So that is a personal motivation. It's just common sense that you get to know a bit more of using Web3, and that is it. Then on the second stage, for example, where you know a bit more under the hood and you deconstruct.
Before it.
Sorry, I think.
I know you.
Yeah, thank you. So on the second section of the course, you're going to learn a bit about the building blocks. So if you go here, we see a bit about this, for example. So what is on the blockchain? You have the smart contracts and the transactions and the metadata, but then you also have to have an application that runs on your phone and a server for the back end of that application. So you learn the technical pillars of things. I'm not Bernard Sibana, I can't teach you Haskell, but one of the motivations, if you want to eventually go and attend the Haskell training, is to come here and see things very high level. So what is a smart contract? Smart contract is something where you can deposit bits of ADA and they have some sort of code attached to them, and then you need to redeem that bit of ADA. So it's these kinds of basic concepts that you can learn. And also we have a concepts section further here. And this is if you aim to be a builder on Cardano. You can get some notions of what the seed phrase is, what the wallet app is, what the transaction, and the metadata, all those things. So it depends a bit on what you're trying to do. But if you really want to take it to the third level, which is ideate on a business solution, I think the main output for you would be to create a catalyst proposal, for example, or go look for funding for your solution. So for example, let's see here, we have Terra, who had a puzzle game. I think he was basically using this as an idea to learn a bit from me, but his end application was not a puzzle game. It was maybe a sports game application or something like that based on tokens. So with what we've done here, now he understands what he needs to use in terms of whether it's Marlowe or Aiken or something like that. He needs that. He understands that it's going to be hard to legalize it if it's a gambling app, and we can try to bridge him with some legal advice. And so there's this output of the course, which is if you are someone that wants to start a project on Cardano, you can come out of here with a whole global view of what are the strong and riskier points of your project. Thank you for your question.
Awesome, well explained. I think you have another question from Morgan.
Okay.
What are the deliverables from the participants at the end of each cohort?
Okay, so we don't do many tests or eventually we are planning to give you an NFT, which is just a souvenir of attending the course. So for now, we don't have many tests or specific deliverables that you need to work on. If you continue attending and if you participate, we actually ask you to record a small initial testimonial saying what your expectation and background is, and a final testimonial saying, okay, I learned a lot, or I wish I had done more hands-on part, something like that. So if you record these 2 sessions for us, and if you're consistent in coming to the sessions, that's good for us. And give us feedback as we go. Participate in the sessions, open your mic and give us feedback or questions. That's the main engine that we need.
Okay. His next question is that what do you want them to live with? Will you be monitoring them to build businesses
Yes.
or applications?
Okay. Well, like I was saying, what I want them to leave with is like more literacy about Web3, to maybe even reduce uncertainty and reduce some fears that people have. So that Web3 is they a lot of people mix what crypto is and all the investments and all that risk with using Web3. And so if they have a bit more literacy about all that, and they have some use case that they can point at. So for example, if I show you this, all these different industries can benefit from Web3, and they are not crypto. You know, these are informations that are being persisted on the blockchain. That's why they use the term blockchain here. So what I want learners to leave with is more understanding and common sense understanding of what Web3 is, and ideally practical experience of having a Vesper wallet, saving a bit in ADA, for example. I've spoken with some communities in Africa where they do a bit of financial literacy, and they just say, okay, if you have, I don't know, a couple of dollars a month, save this in ADA or save this in Bitcoin. And if you need to send money to somewhere around the world, maybe instead of using a regular transfer paying fees, you can use these kinds of tools. It depends a lot. That's why we like to have face-to-face sessions so that we can see people's problems and try to address them or facilitate solutions. The third question, will I be mentoring them to build businesses? The overall, I think so. Yes, we have, especially for example, Manuel here that I was talking about. He's going to be familiarizing with himself with all these tools that are about reporting wallets. So Vesper, Tap Tools, Coinly are supporting things, and so for all this journey that he's still has. So when he left the course after 30 hours, he has all this plan of things that he can study, and we're going to continue having one-on-one calls from time to time. I can't do this for everyone, but if you really want to build a project, we want to partner, because this is just one part of what we do. So for example, if you graduate, let's say, from the Web3 onboarding part, then maybe you can benefit from this project, or we want to be in touch with you on this initiative. So we certainly want to maintain relationships with learners.
Wow. Any more questions or suggestions
Maybe
for
one.
Lucas? Okay.
Regarding the community initiatives, is there gonna be like more of this stuff coming up and it's like as an additional thing? Or right now you're taking like a break from the spontaneous workshops and rather focus on one in cohort, basically?
Yeah. Well, this one, we had 3 sessions. It was months ago, as you can see here. It was following week 19, week 20, week 21 of this year. It was motivated by 2 things. First was frustration from the Intersect community hubs. You know, they were, I was participating in that initiative, and they were trying to eat the world and trying to make rules. And because it has funding in there, it was very tricky to be productive in the community hubs in Intersect. And I wanted to find alternatives to that. So just have spaces where people come and meet, talk, introduce themselves, share what their community is doing. That's what we were doing here. For example, when Sebastian was here, I was literally asking him to talk to me about the Latin American Cardano communities. And after a few minutes, we were putting him on the map to understand a bit what's on the ground. That's how I think we should start working in community hubs, and even if we can consider this as like a global online community hub. The second thing that motivated this experiment was the treasury funding that was happening around this time of the year. So I put in a treasury funding proposal. I think it was 50,000 ADA or something like that. And what we wanted to do was to get some funds for us to facilitate these sessions, but also get some funds to give forward to the communities so that we can have pilot projects with the communities where they organize events and things like those. And we collaboratively share knowledge for them to do it between different communities. So for now, it is parked, but the Miro board is still there. I think it's still here on the descriptions. If not, here it is, the first link. So I invite you to have a look. You can get there very easily from links.45b to the playlist. From the playlist on the descriptions, there's always this Miro board. And yeah, I'm very similar to you in that sense, right, Tivo? I work a lot on Miro. So yeah, we were ideating a lot what we did, what we could do, contrasting with what the community hubs has done or could be doing. Eventually, this whole thing was, I think, parked from Intersect. So now we're back to where we started, which is if you want to do something, just go ahead and do it, and don't wait for funds. I am looking at alternatives to host at least one session of these, at least per month. It would be something that I think aligns a lot with our overall panorama of activities, and also maybe some about governance. So if I was to organize calls about everything I want, I would be, doing nothing else.
Yeah, it was meant to be a bit of like a tricky question because if it does go to Cardano governance, there is this beyond MVG team that I'm
Yeah.
part of, and we are planning for workshops. And so thought if there are pockets of people who are talking about Cardano governance, wouldn't it be great if they fill some surveys or answer some specific questions that entire collective has curated over the last
Yeah.
few months now?
Yeah, we had some guests over. I started this a lot with Mark from Upstream. We had this community coming over, with Bon from Congo. We had Lido Nation. Well, I think Darlington didn't really come to the calls, but I was always inviting him, and it's the kind of community that I also want to involve. And I think one pilot project that's very interesting here is, so yeah, what we want to do is allow communities to present themselves and discuss. And where is it? Here it is. The Jose from Ada Solar was creating this application. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's still live. So what we wanted to do is also to start having this kind of map similar to the one that Catalyst has, but for communities. So here he's putting in all the ambassadors that are around the globe, and we want to be able to put in all the grassroots communities that are on Cardano. But yeah, it's just an ambitious goal for long term. Get in touch if you want to help on this one, please, Devo. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, but I think at some point we need to start mapping all the communities again because you know about Odin and we're trying to do these space trains, and whenever I'm also thinking like, oh, okay, we need to get this project or this idea, or if I see a very passionate person who is like hungry to just learn a lot and do a lot, then I'm like, okay, you can go here, this day you can go there, this day then go there. And somehow I always kind of put 45B like a sideline. Like maybe they're doing this LATAM because my assumption is you're always like in Spanish and somewhere in Latin America and you're like in this LATAM hemisphere. But yeah, now I realized now it's actually more European.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and also
Very
English
much.
stuff. So
Yeah.
I need to, yeah, dust off my Maro maps that I have done.
Okay, guys, this is all I have for today. Visit 45B, links.45b to connect. That's my request. Send us your learners, just send them to 45b.io/web3. And yeah, share this with anyone that you know that could benefit from it, that wants to get involved.
Yeah, Lucas, thank you very much. We will
Thank
continue
you.
to share your platform with our community and also our, partners. so they can also introduce your platform to their community as well. So rest assured, we will do that. If you could get us a reference link, you notice that most of your new registrants will be coming from us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you so
so
much.
yeah, you're welcome,
I will be
Lucas.
back
Like,
eventually to report on progress.
exactly. We'll be chasing you for that. We will be chasing you for that as well. Yeah. Yeah. So that's very great. I don't know whether Steve will have something to say before we jump into our next topic.
No, I'm good. I think I have my fair share of questions.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. The presentation is very clear and well understood. I think that is it. Me myself, I will sign up and then take some of your courses, just to refresh my memory. That's fine. So we are actually on top of the hour already. So we don't have much to discuss, right? Right. Just after Lucas, I'd wanted to make some few announcements, but I think you are aware of them already. Currently, Project Catalyst moderation is still going on. So nothing new yet. Voting will start just after the moderation. Yes, so yeah, voting will start just after the moderation, and then our idea first to announce it on our X and also on our Telegram channel. Our next meeting will be in first week in January, either first week or second week. We will announce it depending on the voting, right? Because we want to host idea first, so depending on the date, if nothing changes, then we'll go ahead with ninth. But other than that, we might not a fix, but just tentative. We had wanted to also do a retrospect of our progress from January till now, but we also move it to January. And we'll do the retrospect in January so that um, we can also take the opportunity to announce to you the plans that we have for 2026. Right, so we'll do all together in January. So our next meeting is on 9th January. I don't think I have anything more to say, but I want to take the opportunity to thank all of you for attending today's meeting. One thing I've noticed about African Town is that the collaborations that happen here just after we bring a resource person is very massive, right? You notice that your project aligns perfectly or closely to the person talking, or there's something that you can take from the person talking and add it to your project to make it great. And that's something that is wonderful here. Like last 2 weeks, we brought in Francisco, who also had about 3 partners before the town hall finished. And I'm sure, Lucas, you also get people in your DMs very soon. Yes, yeah, for that one I know. Yes, I know. Madam, if you're from Ghana, have a whole lot of students that will be interested in taking your courses as well. So yeah, that is it. So on this note, I will stop the recording. However, if you want to stay to have a chit chat or something, we can just stay. But officially, the Catalyst African Town Hall have come to an end for today or for 2025. Today is our last meeting, and we're happy to close it with Lucas. And glad to have our veteran supporter from day one, Tivo. We really appreciate you for being here on the last day of our meeting in 2025. We hope we will be seeing you more often in 2026. So on this note, I say good night, au revoir, bonne nuit, and have a beautiful evening. Bye-bye.